All right, here we go. We're making quick cheese bread from Bread Illustrated from the America's Test Kitchen. So we have 3 ounces of Parmesan cheese shredded, about 1 cup, 2.5 cups all-purpose flour, a tablespoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 4 ounces, which is half of a package of extra sharp cheddar cheese cut into small cubes. And then the wet ingredients, we have a cup of whole milk, a half cup of sour cream, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter that I melted in the microwave, and a large egg. This is an 8.5 by 4.5, I think it's called. Yeah, 8.5 by 4.5 inch loaf pan, and I've greased the inside of it with vegetable shortening, the solid kind. If you don't have that, you can use butter or margarine, whatever. So the oven is set to 350 degrees. The rack is in the middle, and the first thing to do is to take half of this cheese and sprinkle it on the bottom of the pan. And they said to grate this cheese using the large hole of a grater. It just so happens that the grater I use has got large holes, so that's good. And I'm just eyeballing half of this. This doesn't have to be exact. I know that it's 3 ounces of cheese that I grated, so that's good. All right, so that's done. Step 2, with a whisk, whisk the flour, the baking soda, the baking powder, salt, pepper, and cayenne. So all your dry ingredients go in. And I recommend that you have all your stuff measured before you start, because it's a mess if you don't. Trust me. I've made mistakes on plenty of recipes. This flour, they call it 12.5 ounces, which is 350 grams, and I weigh everything, except the small stuff. But everything else I weigh, because it's just better that way. All right, so there. That's all whisked together. Mix nice. So once you have all your stuff laid out and it's ready to go, this recipe comes together with a quickness. So that's that. Now we're going to stir in the cheddar cheese. And I'm going to do that with a spoon. And we just want to make sure that all the cheese is covered with flour. What they say, if you read the introduction to the recipe, they tell you that what happens with chunks, rather than shredding this cheddar cheese with little chunks like this, when it bakes, you get little pockets of cheese. So one thing I thought about that you could do if you wanted to, and I wouldn't do it until I try it the way that the recipe is, but you could add garlic powder if you wanted to make it a little different. I'm actually going to serve this for breakfast on Sunday, so I'm not putting garlic powder in it. Now, I'm going to whisk the milk, the sour cream, the butter, and the egg all together. So, I'm going to do it, I'll do the egg last. So there's the sour cream. And the butter. And I'd recommend that you mix the butter and the sour cream together first, because it'll be easier then to add the milk and then do the egg last, because if the butter is warm, it'll cool down and you won't cook the egg. So Obviously, if you have enough time and you melt the butter early enough, it'll cool down and that won't be a problem. But I always wait till the last minute to do everything, so. Gotta drink some chai. Okay, milk. Now we can whisk. Oh, we're going to need that. You know what would be really bad would be if I get through like 90% of this recipe and then I find out that I didn't start the camera. That would really be bad. Mix that together. Nice. Alright. Now this next step is important because this is where you could mess this up. So you just want to fold this together. So you can't overmix it because if you overmix it, it'll be tough. So you just want to put this in there and then fold it together until the flour is moistened. And if there's little bits of flour that are still dry, that's not going to matter. In fact, it's probably better. So just dump all the milk in, all the wet ingredients. So this recipe calls for whole milk and real sour cream. If you're going to use vegan alternatives, I would make sure that I use something that's got as much fat. You know, you don't want to use like a low fat or a no fat substitute. I usually drink or have with my cereal 2% milk, which I have in the refrigerator, but I bought whole milk to do this because I wanted to turn out the way the recipe says. And since they test everything, what the hey? Let's do it their way. So there, that's enough. Now, transfer batter to prepared pan and smooth top. I can do that. Just gonna plop it in all at once. smooth the top. Now I'll put the rest of the Parmesan. Bada bing, bada boom. That's that. And into our 350-degree oven it goes for 45 to 50 minutes. And when it comes out, we should have bread. Hey Google, set a timer for 40 minutes. I'll check it at the end of 40 minutes and see how it does.